Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack, today is March 13th, and today's episode is going to cover Dencun and how great a success it was. It's going to cover a lot of pieces of bread and information from Joe, and it's going to cover information about the Denver liftoff videos and much more on top of that. So let's get started.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Because the first place to get started is the Dencun upgrade, and yesterday we got the 1.11.9 upgrade for the smartnode stack, and that of course included all the last minute Dencun upgrades. Well, there was a POAP available for that, so people wanted to get ready before the hard fork. Then a whole lot of people claimed this POAP. Well, they updated the client in order to claim the POAP, which was really great. And that's all happened now. And Dencun, of course, like I just said, was a huge success. And I'm going to cover it from the first story here, which is the thing that I'm most excited about, is this tweet from All Nodes saying, as a testament to our dedication, history has been made. An All Nodes hosted Rocket Pool mini pool proposed the first ever blob on Ethereum, leading to a new era of efficient and cost-effective data handling on the network. And then see for yourself, and then they've got a link to the Beacon Chain website to show you the block. So the Rocket Pool intern replied by saying Rocket Pool and All Nodes with the handshaking, and then people were just really happy. So it was really cool. So let's take a step back now and see what actually unfolded with the hard fork. So the first thing to keep in mind was that there was a live stream going on for the hard fork, and there were loads of people that about from Ethereum involved in this, and they were kind of explaining what all the different EIPs are, and that are going into the hard fork. And then there were some quizzes and games and the song and lots of questions about the hard fork itself. And then the actual hard fork itself happened around 55 minutes into the stream, and this is when people were like sharing their logs and showing what was going on, and everything was going really smoothly. And it was a huge success. So congratulations to everyone who's involved in working on the hard fork. Whether you were involved in any of the different EIPs or whatever you did to make it happen, like a huge thanks to you. Great stuff. So then what was happening around that? Let's have a look. There was an event going on in London, and here's Ramana working at the event, and who was also at the event is Vitalik Buterin. So Ramana got to meet Vitalik today, which is pretty damn cool. I'm really jealous about that, but that's cool. And then here at 9:55 a.m., War was the first person to share a screenshot of their logs, and this was them, the blobs. So blob, and of course, blob is the blobs are the image of this hard fork pretty much. And like we had the merge pandas, now we've got the blobs here, and everybody was really excited. So here, it took a few minutes before we started seeing the first blobs, because not many of the layer 2s were set up for it to happen. But here we've got pending blobs are like 1 blob, and Langas was sharing screenshots of the blob inclusions, and then it went up to 3 blobs. So it was happening, which was really great. This is like a couple of minutes after the hard fork, basically, like that the information started pouring through. And then right away we knew that this hard fork was a huge success, because it was justifying at 98%. So basically around 8% of the network was offline, probably because of people who didn't upgrade their clients. There were not, so far we've not seen a single bug with any of the clients themselves, which is absolutely wonderful. So in the first 2 epochs we didn't have a single missed block, which also is a huge kudos as well. And then it looks like there was one team that didn't get the memo, and that was Blast, which is of course the layer 2 that people are very skeptical about. Well, they went down for a little while, and Chaos says it looks like not everything went perfectly. So here, CoinDesk say Blast, which is built atop Ethereum and therefore intrinsically linked to it, posted on X that its mainnet had stopped producing blocks due to issues related to the Dencun upgrade. So it looks like their developers, however many of them and whoever they might be, were not prepared for Dencun, but it seems like they got it fixed quite quickly. So good for them even in the end. Then we started getting news from like the bigger layer twos, like what they were seeing. So here Argent, which is a wallet on Starknet, shared the screenshot of a transaction before Dencun, and like this swap of sending 100 no swap sorry of 100 Starknet tokens to USDC was going to cost $6.82, and then right after Starknet it was cut down to 4 cents. So that looked absolutely amazing. This is really great. However, the one thing you should keep in mind is it seemed like Starknet was one of the only teams that was kind of competing for the blocks at that time. So they had the market pretty much to themselves. So the fees were able to come down this much. In reality, it probably won't be this much of a discount, but it'll still be a pretty steep discount. The only other team as well that was ready for blobs of the bigger teams, was ZK Sync as well. And they said that ZK Sync was the first layer 2 to post a 4844 blob on Ethereum. It'll take a few days for transaction fees to stabilize across all layer 2s as the fee markets adjust. In the coming days, we'll see the full impact of ZK Sync 4844 and ZK Sync. So then they just kind of go and explain what it looks like and just how their fees have changed. So it's really, really cool to see that some of those guys were ready and teams of that were not ready. So here, Jesse Pollack had a tweet saying that base will be ready at 5 p.m. Eastern time today, which is in around 2 hours of recording, or 3 hours of me recording. And they, I guess that will be the same for the whole of the OP mainnet, the supernet that they have, and base as well. So yeah, alongside base and OP, we also have Arbitrum who are not online yet. So here, Stephen had a tweet saying the blobs have arrived. Arbitrum 1 users will see the benefits go live and reduce fees in 2 phases. So this is really exciting. They said tomorrow, March 13th, which I guess this should be, they meant maybe March 14th. That's when, it's going to go through there's the tweet right after saying, sorry, it should be tomorrow, March 14th. So it's going through Arbitrum's governance process right now. And of course, that's expected to be approved like right away. So on March 14th, they'll see the benefits of 4844. However, on Monday, March 18th, Arbitrum have their own upgrade expected, which will then further reduce fees. So they're doing some really cool stuff. So Arbitrum's fees might be even lower than other layer 2's fees come next week, which is awesome. And Stephen here, of course, is the co-founder of Off-Chain Labs, who make the Arbitrum protocol. Right, and you can't have a hard fork without a POAP. So here we have news of the ETH-Staker POAP that they put together. So this is a POAP that will cost 0.003 ETH, which is about $10. And the whole of that money will go to Smoothly, which is a smoothing pool for solo stakers that I've talked about on Rocket Fuel before. So each staker say, thanks for tuning into the call. POAP proceeds are going to the Smoothly solo staker smoothing pool to better incentivize the most critical and decentralized form of staking for censorship resistance on Ethereum. Dencun was a resounding success. These devs and researchers are unmatched. So this was really cool. You can buy the POAP. So if you send the money to the address 0xsmoothly.eth, then it might take a few days for you to get the POAP. However, if you want to mint the POAP right away, then you can go to smoothly.money/Dencun and you should be able to mint the POAP there and get it a lot sooner. People have been talking about delays on all the sides, so just be aware of that. And then here Lee is saying that basically everything, like so far, the data storage on your drive probably hasn't on your node machine probably hasn't gone up yet. However, as more and more blobs get added to mainnet, it's probably going to go up to somewhere between 50 and 100 gigabytes, and then that will remain persistent because as they expire, after 18 days, new ones will be populated. So it'll be in 18 days time, your hard drive will be max blob usage, and then after that, it'll stay at that rate, but maybe fluctuate a little bit depending on how the blobs get put onto the mainnet. And then here's information about the POAP. So if you send ETH to the Smoothly, then Nixo is saying that it should take some days potentially for you to get those POAPs received for those deposits. So please keep that in mind if you're going to buy the pop that way. The easiest way to just go to checkout, and it would never be Ethereum if there wouldn't be this pressure from the community, I guess, or this drive from the community. So just as we've got Dencun go live, people are already starting to look forward to Pectra, which is the next hard fork that's going to happen. And here, Eric and Nixo are both talking about how max effective balance increase should be in Pectra. And people are already looking to the next hard fork now, which is due at some point at the end of this year, or more likely in the beginning of 2025. So keep that in mind. Okay, next we have some bread from Joe. So Joe popped into trading yesterday and he tagged Sneaky, and Sneaky said, "Why did Joe ping me?" And he says, "I'm a man of my word and it has begun." So here there's a package cloud Rocket Pool smart node. So this is the smart node stack version 2. I guess is going into internal testing. And Joe says, "Shout out to Patches for pointing me at them 1,000 years ago for Proteus stuff, carrying it all the way forward." So basically what is happening is Patches then saying, "Shout out to my former employer, told me of package cloud and then laid me off." So then anyway, Joe then had some information that he wanted to share with the community. And he said, thanks to me for covering Joe, on yesterday's episode or the day before when Joe was leaving his validators. He says, "You presented it well." So that was nice of Joe to say that. But then Joe actually shared some actual news, and this is what he was saying. Actually, but in the midst of that, there was some news from Patches, but I'll cover that in a second. So I replied to Joe, for him saying thank you to me, by saying, "Come back soon, Joe. We miss you. I hope everything is going wonderfully with your babies." So this was a bit of news as well. He said that he's mostly back at work now. He started again on Monday, but with the understanding that he'd be flexing his hours a lot. So I guess it all depends on how things are with his babies, that he would either be working more or less according to that. And Ghost said, "We miss your validators." So I said, Joe's validators will be back soon, and he won't be able to leave Rocket Pool just how I won't be able to leave Rocket Pool. And Joe says they'll make a triumphant return after Saturn, so 2047, which is kind of a joke in the community. And he says he's still working on version 2. The config is done, so working on migrating to the node manager core. He says it's been such a journey getting this out. And then he goes on to give some more information. He goes, it's like go lib to smartnode version 2 to hyperdrive to the node management client. I think that's what it is, to smartnode version 2. So there's a whole bunch of different pieces going on together, and it's all kind of coming together now. So node management core, sorry, not node manager client. And then basically what Joe is saying that he's been working with hyperdrive, which is a node sets system that they're doing. And he's saying that the TLDR is that hyperdrive, which is node set system, and smartnode version 2 both use that core client. So he can carry code between them without having to manually copy and paste it, since the HD and SN don't share Git history. So I'm not sure, smartnode and hyperdrive don't share Git history. So that's just a way of kind of putting a bridge there. And he says it's not reused upstream. Like, imagine a world where hyperdrive comes out with something useful, say for example externally managed metrics. We can shove it into that, and then smartnode gets it for free too. So they're both kind of like working together. And then Ghost says, "I love how it's still called hyperdrive and not constellation." So then Joe explains that hyperdrive is the node management software, like their node sets version of the smart node stack, which is what Joe's been making. And constellation is their whole smart contract that sits on top of Rocket Pool. So Joe was giving like a lot of information basically about how it's all kind of setting up. And then people asking me about how I'm going to sell. But yeah, Joe was like giving a lot of information. So that was really cool. And then he also gave us information here about how he signed his transaction to temporarily leave the GMC. Yeah, so that's really sad. Well, of course, Joe will be back hopefully once things are a bit more settled. And then he said shout out to Destroyer for taking up the mantle. So Destroyer, of course, is the newest member of the GMC, kind of taking over from Joe temporarily while Joe is on paternity leave. So it's nice to have Destroyer, but we miss you, Joe. And then Patches gave a little bit of alpha as well about the work that he's doing with NodeSet. So he says that he started working with Nick on a barter basis. He says, I think we both win this way. So it's kind of the same way that I guess he's working for the GMC, is where they'll be like, hey, we got this task for you. Can you do it? And he'll be like, yeah, I can do it. And then he'll charge them like some dollars for that amount. So it's cool that they're kind of poaching the best of the best from the Rocket Pool community. You know, they're getting Joe involved, they're getting Patches involved. I'm really sure that NodeSet's going to end up having a really good product when it all gets done. And then this is the node management core software that I was just telling you about, that Joe was explaining about how it works and how it will help act kind of as a bridge between the NodeSet stuff and the Rocket Pool stuff, which is pretty awesome if you ask me. Oh yeah, that's Joe stuff. Okay, next we've got some good news for those of you who've been waiting for nearly 2 weeks now. Well, you know, Denver liftoff happened a couple of weeks ago, and everybody was really excited about it. Well, sadly, some people were not able to watch the event live, and then they weren't able to watch the recordings of the event. However, someone in Rocket Pool land has uploaded all the different talks onto the Rocket Pool YouTube channel. So you can now go and watch Samus and Val talking about their tokenomics. You can go and watch the NodeSet guys talking about you know, their constellation system. And you can watch about Rescue Node, about Rocket Sweep. You can watch about all the different stuff that was covered at the event. So thank you so much for Mav, I'm presuming, for getting this out. And it's really cool that you've done that. So go and watch those videos now if you would like. Okay, next we have this comment from Dozy, who says, hey guys, one of my colleagues at Attestant has done some performance and P&L analysis of running Rocket Pool nodes. The results are published on the Attestant blog. Would love to hear your feedback. So let's go and have a look at the Attestant blog and see what it says. So here, this is by Chris Longdon. And he says the Rocket Pool protocol, analysis of Rocket Pool, including performance simulations and a P&L investigation. So here they give a little introduction about what Rocket Pool is and how it works. And this is part one of this post, covers how liquid stakers earn rewards. Some of the difference between Rocket Pool and Lido are the key aspects of operating Rocket Pool Validator. So you can go ahead and read this post, and it's quite long and it's got quite a lot of information. So I won't give you a summary of it here, but you can go and get a read of it. But even right from the beginning, they had some really cool like images. Here's like how to understand like Lido price compared to ETH, compared to ownership of Lido. Lido's ST ETH as well. So like you can see that the price compared to ETH is flat. However, the ownership amount that you get more tokens, the ownership goes up. With Rocket Pool, however, the RETH, the price of it against ETH goes up. However, the ownership amount that you have stays flat over the time. So it's just nice visualization. And this article is full of some nice visualizations here as well. And you know, it gives you some really nice breakdowns of different parts of the protocol. So if you want to read that, yeah, there's some really nice stuff. So yeah, you can go ahead and like give this a read, and yeah, it's definitely pretty interesting. So they've got like, you know, a conclusion section. It says, you know, while the commission for running mini pools are enticing, the P&L outcome is mostly dependent on price paid received for RPL to enter exit the investment, and whether RPL outperforms ETH. So interest is paid on the collateral without having to post additional. If you believe in the Rocket Pool RPL as a protocol token that will continue to attract demand, then the investment warrants further consideration. Be prepared for wild up and down swings in RPL. If RPL ETH goes up over time, the Rocket Pool investment will produce healthy excess return. Performance in RPL over the life of the test over the past 6 months. So they kind of explain what the RPL prices look like and what it's looking like now. So yeah, there you go. You can go and have a look at that, of course, and dig deeper into their information that they've shared. Okay, next here we have a post from Samus in the new tokenomics thread, where they're getting the RPIPs ready. So he says that he wants to try to get some numbers ready for trying to work out what the floor value of RPL will look like under the old tokenomics, like the current tokenomics, I guess, and the new tokenomics, if there's, Samuses and vals are accepted by the community. So he says, I'm not sure this logic is sound, but this is how I was getting the numbers. So he says the old tokenomics, so he tried to work out a price floor for the protocol. He says the idea is that RPL chose an arbitrary value for RPL, which is 10% borrowed ETH. The price floor of RPL is the extent that people are willing to buy RPL to create mini pools and top up their collateral to maintain 10% borrowed ETH. And he says the primary value driver comes from the last bullet point. There is speculation about Rocket Pool's future that drives market value higher than the price floor. This includes over-collateralized nodes or RPL holders who are not staking RPL. Under-collateralized nodes at least hit 10% at one point and then maybe just haven't topped up. He says this leads to 600,000 borrowed ETH times 10% of 20.1 million RPL. So he says that they work this out as 0.003. So it's basically the floor price under the old tokenomics is a third of what the price is now, around 0.009. So a 3x price is growth, is priced in 3 times growth. And then he says with the new tokenomics, he says the equation for the floor price, and then there's an equation there. He says the idea to determine the amount of ETH being captured by RPL directly. So total borrowed ETH times solo staking APR times commission captured by RPL. This is then divide that per RPL to find out how much ETH each RPL is capturing. It says, see the previous bullet. It says that is how much ETH per year RPL is earning. You can expect at maturity it will be rational to buy and hold RPL as a way to earn ETH yield once it provides some small premium above solo staking APR. So he says if we say solo staking APR is 3.8%, for example, then we can say once holding RPL earns you around 4% APR in ETH yield, it would then become rational to convert and buy RPL instead of staking ETH. Amount of ETH per year RPL earns, and then there's a formula there that'll give you 4%. This ironically, when you plug in the numbers, you also get 0.003 ETH here. He said I did the same thing at maturity with both tokenomics, and the new tokenomics provide a higher price value than the old tokenomics. He says this is mostly due to, he says the new tokenomics, the RPL being burnt over time, so that ETH per RPL should keep increasing. He says the floor value was calculated was 0.045, so about 4.5x from where we are. He says, no, sorry, 5x from where we are. And he says the old tokenomics RPL is being inflated over time, so the RPL, ETH per RPL should keep decreasing. He says the floor value captured was 0.029, which is about 3 and a bit x from where we are. So that was really cool for Samus to share some of those numbers. Of course, these ideas are new. They're still being worked on. Yeah, so these numbers are definitely still being worked on. And that's kind of like what the idea is, like, they're still kind of figuring them out, and they're still trying to figure out where there's errors, where there's mistakes in the thinking, and what kind of assumptions are good, what kind of assumptions are not good. But this is an active thing that's being worked on by people in the community, which is really awesome. So I said I'm very excited to share this and help people understand the modeling you guys are all doing. And Val said, I'm not satisfied with my modeling yet for what it's worth. So of course, I have to let you all know that even though I'm kind of talking about these numbers on the show right now, this is not final. There's still problems. And if you want to help with that, pop into the thread and start answering questions. However, Marceau was someone who did pop into the thread and kind of wanted to wrestle with the ideas a little bit. Samus's ideas. He says, thanks for putting this together. I find this framing very helpful. I think you did a great job of summarizing it with some numbers. He says, I disagree with you on one point. So the solo staking APR at 3.8%. He says, then you can see the RPL will earn 4%, etc. He says this is not true because RPL carries additional risks over ETH, liquidity, flexibility within DeFi, governance, taxes, etc. But the big one is yield risks. The price of RPL will act as a forward-looking indicator for ETH yield, and arguably with the EF stance on minimal, that's Ethereum Foundation stance on minimal viable issuance, this would also be taking on minimal viable RPL value. The market will discount it as such. That being said, I think this point is fairly inconsequential. We'll be trading growth premium for a forward yield discount, but it's not necessarily all that meaningful. So then Samus and Marceau got into a little bit back and forth about like how the framing is great and how much ETH yield would the market demand to hold RPL, and it's questions like that. So if you are interested, then go and give this a look, and kind of engage with those thoughts a little bit more, because I think there's a lot of interesting stuff to be found there. And of course, this is the spreadsheet that kind of goes with that. That'll help you understand what is going on and kind of explaining it all to you. Okay, next we have a post from Nick, who's saying that the website is now including some beta features that you can turn on, and that will let you get access to some really cool things on the stake.rocketpool.net website. So we know that there was some problems with that recently, and one of the things that is being fixed now is that you can activate like slippage control, liquidity checks, validations and warnings, and slippage checks as well, and risk checks as well. So you can it's a hidden feature, but you can enable them by turning on beta features, and then it tells you what an example of that would look like. So they're asking for feedback if you want to do that, and you can check what that looks like. And of course, that is because a couple of people got burned with slippage and liquidity stuff. So hopefully that won't be an issue going forward. Okay, next we had this post from Chaos in support, and it seems like there's an issue, there's a client bug between Nethermind and Lighthouse where it's not very happy with pruning. So if you are running the combination of Nethermind and Lighthouse, it might be a good idea to kind of hold off on pruning. And Chaos here says if you're using Nethermind and you've updated your in-memory cache side, you probably should not prune until they release a fix, or unless you want to fiddle with the cache memory settings. So it might be worth it for you to just delay pruning by a few days because of that. Okay, so as you're watching this episode, the timing has now, the final ratio has been locked in, and you can get that from asking people in trading about what it is, but I think it's somewhere around 0.009 somewhere around there. So if you want to top up your validator before the reward snapshot happens in around 7.5 hours, then you can go do that now, because the final lock-in happened 9 hours before the snapshot. So thank you for Sneaky for calculating that for us. Okay, next we have a pDAO treasury update from Vaca. So here Vaca kind of explains what the allocations look like. So how the different groups will be getting the split of inflation. So it says the 27% and split is now going to happen, and the ODAO giving a donation of 17.19 RPL to the pDAO, which is nice. So there was explanation of how that worked. I explained that on Rocket Fuel before. So Vaca explains that the mishap also affected last distribution to the IMC and GMC, which was sent 412 and 169 RPL in excess respectively. It says this will be abated from their disbursement next period. So thank you to Vaca for kind of explaining that. So what he says is this period the pDAO will receive 5,348 RPL, and the balance of the pDAO is now 91,125 RPL. So thank you, Vaca, for sharing that information with us all. And we're going to end today's episode on a warning for you all. So if you are buying RPL or selling RPL even on the centralized exchange, please be careful about the amount of liquidity that is available on those exchanges. One of the users here bought over 1,000 RPL and suffered nearly 25% slippage. So the price was $36.88, and they bought all the way up to like $43. So that was over $20 of slippage that they experienced. So if you want to buy in size, the best liquidity is Marceau's wall, pretty much, that we're in right now. So go to mainnet, you won't be suffering that kind of slippage. Also, setting limit orders instead of market buys, I think, is a much better idea for you. So on that note, I'm going to end today's packed episode, a landmark episode with Dencun happening. So thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.